Happy Friday, everybody. Transfer update time here on the channel. It's Premier League launch day today, so the EFL taking a backseat. All the fixtures kick off tomorrow. There's going to be plenty of transfer talk today. We're going to try and get things updated as things stand right now. Of course, there may be some deals done after we do this. People trying to rush through registration of players so they can stick them in their squads, maybe just as a gamble off the bench ahead of the weekend. So, spoiler alert, 9:40 a.m. we are recording here. So any deals not done at time of recording we'll deal with in the next video. You can find all the other transfer videos in the archives as well if there's something I've mentioned on a previous video that you particularly want to hear about. We're looking at done deals. We'll talk about a few rumours as well. And normal housekeeping. I'm using Transfermarkt as my source for any fees. If you want to be one of those people who wants to argue about transfer fees, send them a strongly worded letter. I would prefer to just talk about the players and show enough humility to say I don't really know what the transfer fees are. We never really know these days, do we? Right, let's get into it. And we'll start with the parachute teams. Leicester City are still in this kind of holding pattern, and it's been players going out since we last did a transfer update. That's the headline. Hermansen, 20 million euros to West Ham, and Didi, 8 million to Besiktas. And I mean, we're just waiting, aren't we, to find out what the possible sanction is, whether that involves a business plan. I presume before Leicester spend, they're definitely going to do something, aren't they? There's still El Kanous left there that they could sell. Transfermarkt saying they've banked a 31 million euro profit in this window. So that will improve the PSR position for the next kind of year's worth of accounts. And remember, they'll be submitting projections and whatnot now. So I'd imagine Leicester are just in a holding pattern going back and forth with the EFL, but I'm sure they'll bring a couple of players in. We've got 17 days to go before the window closes. Over at Ipswich, things are starting to move now. We've spoken about the year one parachute churn. I think that's possibly been most pronounced at Ipswich with loads of players out and now loads of players coming in, and it's just trying to balance that out and do it all in the correct order. I'll talk about Nathan Broadhead when we get to the Wrexham segment of this video, when we're dealing with the League One teams at the end. Was Jens Kayus done when we last spoke? I know I spoke about him on the Akpom individual video. Well, there you go. I've just mentioned Akpom as well. So Kayus was on loan at Ipswich last year. He's come back in with an obligation to buy if Ipswich get promoted. Akpom, I think same type of deal, loan to buy, former Championship Golden Boot winner. So good calibre there for those two. And Ipswich, essentially the two midfielders who got them promoted there, Luongo and Morsey, both leaving the club this summer. And it's now Matusiwa and Kayust who is the new midfield. Aro Muric, that one didn't work out great. Expensive goalkeeper signing. He's gone out on loan to Italy. We are waiting still on Amari Hutchinson, and I think everyone's just teetering on the edge, trying to make sure this doesn't turn into a so-and-so refuses to play, blah-de-blah, drama. I think Forest is the kind of highest bidder now. Brentford have been in for a while. The clause didn't get met in time, did it? The 35 million. So I'm sure if you said to Ipswich, your asking price will be met, they'd snap their fingers and do it right now, because Hutchinson, I don't want to use unkind words, but it's kind of agitating to go. And I get it. I understand. But this is the problem with the transfer window not closing before the season starts, isn't it? So you'd imagine he's going to go. Ivan Azon is a heavily linked Mexican striker. So look, there's still going to be a couple more come in at Ipswich. It's working itself out. We said it would go to the end of August. It always does with the year one parachute teams. And Southampton just look a little bit more stable than everybody else. They don't seem massively involved in bringing lots of new names in. We're still expecting possibly Diblin to go out at some point. Fernandez, maybe. Does that delay them? We spoke at length about Southampton's attacking options off the bench through their debut game against Wrexham. So they're still pretty well stocked, Southampton, and they actually, in terms of churn, look more stable than the other two. Whether that changes, imagine a situation where they bank a ton of money for Dibbling and Fernandez, then you'd imagine they're going to sign a couple of players before the window closes, and they're probably working on that eventuality. Now we shall see. Get your thoughts in if you're a fan of a Year 1 parachute team. Playoff losers, nothing's really happened since we last spoke. I think we missed Anel Ahmedhodzic leaving Sheffield United by about a day or so. Where did he go? Feyenoord, wasn't it? Shame for them in respect. Well, he's been a great player for them. And I think last year with the contract, they would have certainly got a chunkier fee. Obviously, gambled on keeping Ahmedhodzic and getting promoted last season. Just missed out in the playoff final. Gus Harmer. Remember, we entered the summer talking about Sheffield United, about Sousa, Ahmedhodzic and Harmer. That we thought two of the three might go. Well, two of them have gone. Harmer is very much there and contributing, and obviously scored a extremely long-range goal in the EFL Cup over at Birmingham. Didn't he? He looks like he's staying, doesn't he? So he's still cheat code quality in the Championship. But yeah, tricky window for Sheffield United. Hopefully they can do a little bit more in terms of incomings before the end. Coventry, fairly stable. Could they get Sims out? That feels a bit of a white elephant, expensive signing. Lampard doesn't seem keen. Van Evik still there, but we've imagined he's going to be sold most of the summer. So I still think there'll be movement at Coventry, but seems fairly settled at the moment. And Bristol City, yeah, I mean, we kind of damn him with faint praise, saying that they finished 6th without... Where you look at a squad and one player's getting all the goals and one player's getting all the assists, and I don't know, there's a star fullback or centre-back who's worth... You know, they did it with a nicely balanced team, so they haven't been pillaged for their players. Obviously started brilliantly. And is Scott Twine going to be like the signing of the summer? Because he hasn't quite starred. Remember, we're seeing him in League One for MK, and he was clearly the best player in the league. And you kind of thought, oh, well, he'll just do that in the Championship. Maybe you don't need to bring in any players if Scott Twine steps up and does what he did in League One in the Championship. Already a couple of goals for him. Get your thoughts in if you're a fan of Sheffield United, Coventry or Bristol City. Rest of the top 10 from last season. Blackburn, quiet, but will Travis to Derby get done today? Possibly. That one may be ticked off. You can comment on that if you're watching after it's been done, if it has indeed been done. It's a bit of back and forth. I think possibly Blackburn have got a bit of leverage there on the deal. They got a good price for Britain, didn't they, from Boro? So, yeah, we think Travis will go and join Eustace at Derby, but at time of recording, that's rumbled and not happened yet. Millwall look all fairly set, don't they? And Alfie Doughty we thought was a good sign, and he was straight with an assist in round 1. And Alex Neil very keen to talk about the two up top, Coburn and Ivanovic. So I think Millwall are pretty happy with their window thus far, and off to a winning start in the EFL. New one in at West Brom is Christian Bielik, and this is a player I feel a bit sad about, because I would have thought he would have been playing Premier League football now. I remember when he signed for Derby for big money. He was really young as well. I don't know, like 2021 or something, wasn't he? When he come from Arsenal, and you looked at him and you thought, size of that guy, can play centre-back, midfield, make the play, move between the two. I remember seeing him for Charlton on loan, and he would move from midfield and go and make it a 3 at the back. He just looked like a proper player, and it's just been injuries that have blighted his career, unfortunately. So it's a bit of a moneyball one by West Brom. can you rehabilitate the player to the level that we thought he was going to be reaching? Hell of a player in there, but it's been difficult stayed at Derby and then moves to Birmingham and whatnot. And just with what Birmingham are doing now, and this is no slight on Bilic because I think he's a great player, but, they're going guarantees now, aren't they? Rather than, he could be good, but he's had some injury troubles and whatnot. So I wish him very well at West Brom. And it's so funny with footballers, isn't it? You see these players that play 500 games in their career, and sometimes there is luck attached that they just don't get hit by a horrible tackle or stick their foot in the wrong place on a hard pitch or a slippery pitch or whatever, and stay healthy. And sometimes it is literally luck of the draw with injuries, isn't it? So well, let's hope for some good luck for Bilic at West Brom, and that may turn out to be a nothing burger. That may turn out to be a great rehabilitation signing. Middlesbrough feel like they are still stuck trying to raise money, but they have raised money since we last spoke for Rav Vandenberg. Where did they get him from? Were they both at Liverpool, the Vandenberg lads? Could be wrong about that, but I think I'm not misremembering that. Liverpool into Middlesbrough, and they've turned that round and flipped it for, it says 8 million euros here. Coburn obviously already out for, it says 6.5 million as well. So they've spent a bit on Kante and Britton and Jones. And the latest one here is Sonche Hansen, who's a winger who's come in from the Eredivisie, which I always have fun pronouncing, that being the Netherlands top league. 10 goal contributions in there. I think he plays wide right. So that's where we might expect to see him. And it still looks like it'll be a Hackney sale, which would be a big one, won't it? If they managed to get a 20 million, I think it's add-ons taking it to 20 million, but bid from Ipswich, then you could still see more a window that looks like Norwich's, where, Norwich have done like 9, 10, 11, haven't they? But, Boro have already done 4, 6 or 8 by the end with Hackney done. I'm talking about players for probably multiple millions as well, but we just seem to be waiting and dominoes to fall, as we say. But let me know your thoughts now. Hansen has joined Kante in terms of what I always call exotic European foreign signings new to the league, and obviously Britton and Jones very familiar to the league. So nice mix so far for Boro. I just wonder if you're a Boro fan, would you just have preferred, I don't know, Spurs took Hackney for 25 million at the start of the window and Handsome Rob had, plenty of time to choose players and they would already been already. I think we know the answer to that, don't we? Thoughts in fans of those four: Blackburn, Millwall, West Brom and Boro. Which takes us on to our middle order teams from last season. Swansea have done one, which could be an interesting one because it's a loan from Brighton, and we get very excited because are you getting the next Victor Gyökeres or Ben White or Jean-Paul Van Heck? They've been a brilliant source of players. Obviously, Gyökeres to Swansea didn't quite work out, did it? But you take my point, don't you? What is this lad's name? Malik Yokoye, who I think comes from Mali and plays in central midfield. He's only 19. And I know these transfer marked player valuations are a load of nonsense sometimes. It's 17 million euros. It says it would cost Swansea to buy him. So, take that with a whole bucket of salt if you want. But if he's worth anywhere near that and you've got a deal to have him on loan for a season in central midfield, remember this is a central midfield less Matt Grimes, who was the main man there for years, going out obviously in January to Coventry, then, starts to allow Alan Sheehan to be building his new side there. So, yeah, I'm not massively familiar with the player, but Swans fans, let me know your thoughts on that. Sheffield Wednesday, as you can imagine, no news with all the embargoes, but, and this is some good news. So since we last did a transfer update, the embargo for non-payment of staff and third-party clubs, I believe, has been lifted. So I think we're still under fee restriction and business plan for Wednesday. However, Hull are under that, and they have done business this summer. It's a bit more difficult for Wednesday because we've all loved to a great club. If you're an agent or a player, are you pushing for a move to Sheffield Wednesday at the moment? So they're probably just going to have to wait. And we saw this a couple of years ago from Mr. Chansiri, didn't we, when Cisco Munoz was in and no business was done and they had to wait. And again, I'm going to try and be so respectful to these human beings and footballers, but it's the bargain basement at the end of the window. It's, right, who is still available? And again, with the greatest respect to these players, those will be the players that will probably go in on frees or maybe, sort of leverage loan deals to Sheffield Wednesday. So hopefully they can do something because obviously it's very, very thin on the ground. And I think everybody predicting Sheffield Wednesday to finish bottom is accepting the premise that they're just not going to have a full squad of senior players. And can they get close to half a squad of senior players? We'll find out. Norwich, I mean, they've been headline makers throughout the window, and we got the first glimpse of the new look team, and they did actually lose, didn't they, at home to Millwall? So maybe that'll take a bit of bedding in time. And yeah, ginger American elephant in the room, Josh Sargent, he's still there. He's scoring goals. He's a brilliant striker at Championship level. Does he end the window at Norwich? If he does, happy days if you're a Norwich fan. I mean, if not, you're probably still going to get a massive load of money for him. But yeah, it's the saga that is still rumbling with 17 days remaining in this summer's transfer window. Finally, Watford, word for Dan Bachman, who's been there for a long, long while. And I remember during the COVID season and that promotion under Cisco Munoz, 2 mentions for him in this show today. How about that? He was the keeper there and kind of took the shirt from Ben Foster, I think, didn't he? He's gone out. And Max, how am I pronouncing this? Alien? I don't know. You tell me. But he's a loanee in from Manchester City. I believe he's a centre-back. What am I doing? Yeah, Max Alain? I don't know. 20 years old, centre-half from Manchester City. I'll make my normal Reece James comment there. Can you have your Reece James? I suppose Taylor Harwood-Bellis might be a better example from recent times, although obviously hugely expensive if you actually want to get them. But hey, you can get them on loan and they're these elite-level centre-backs that are probably all massive and really good footballers. Then, yeah, do the deal. And it's a bit of a coin flip sometimes, isn't it? But hey, he could be great. Let me know your thoughts. Swansea, Sheffield Wednesday, Norwich, and Watford fans. Don't know why I said Watford there with a Watford, like I can speak Spanish or something. I can't. I can only speak English, and barely that. QPR, Richard Kone goes in, and he's been sort of heavily linked, and we're in this situation where we don't think there are many strikers to go around. So, naturally people go and look at who were the best ones in League One last season. Obviously, Kelman was the top scorer. He's gone into Charlton. Wickham were another playoff loser, and Richard Kone was their top scorer. What have I got here? I think it's 18. Yeah, 18 League One goals. Joe on Blue Monday was actually quite high on Ipswich, having a look at Kone, but he's gone to QPR. And again, I don't want to sound clangingly patronising, but I'd almost be quite impressed if I was a QPR fan with Kone and Poku and Burrell as well. They've gone to League One heavily, haven't they? But all you can do in a window is what is your ceiling? What's the best players you can get? And difficult for QPR. They're not even the second tier of teams in the Championship, are they? Where you have the parachute teams and then you have the kind of trickle-down economics teams below who have done good business and have got a little bit more money to spend, or owners that are prepared to go out on a limb, maybe like the one at Hull or rich owners like Stoke. And QPR feel like they're below that. And again, I don't want to be patronising. These are the best deals QPR can do, aren't they? So I'm here for it. I like it, and I always like to see players move through the EFL. So if Kone can translate 18 League One goals into 10 for QPR and then build on that to 15, then it'll be a great deal. 3.2 million euros. It says Rangers have spent thick end of 5 million, particularly on Dembele, Burrell, and Kone now. So I don't know if I'd be too unhappy with that if I were a Rangers fan. It's some sense of ambition there when I know Rangers fans have thought that it's been a bit slow over recent years, hasn't it? Pompey have done one more since we last spoke. Min Hyuk Yang. I don't speak Spanish and I don't speak Korean. But we know about him, don't we? Because he was on loan at QPR, who we were just talking about last season. Going to play on the wing, scored a couple of goals for Rangers in the back end of the Championship. I think he only did the second half of the season on loan from Spurs, didn't he? So we'll see if he can do a bit more. Pompey, I think, have used the loan market pretty effectively, haven't they? So we'll see if that is another one. Oxford, all quiet, but Gary Rowett did do, and Gab Sutton and I talked about this on the Sportsman Untitled podcast. You can check out that conversation. Just slam that into YouTube search box there. But about Gary Rowett, maybe in his interview, little bit of messaging, need some more players type thing. So I do expect Oxford to do a couple more, and Rowett is putting that into the universe that they kind of need these deals done. Hey, what manager doesn't want more players, or certainly more good players? But yeah, the need has been kind of underlined by the Oxford boss there. The Oxford boss who used to manage Stoke City. So here we go to Stoke. And we have got Lamine Cisse. Is he a winger? I think he's a winger, isn't he? Not that winger called Lamine. Go and get your money on Stoke to get promoted if they get that one. But Cisse, where was he? Second tier in France. And he got 11 goal contributions. Look, Stoke do it every summer, don't they? There's always... I mean, some Stoke fans don't particularly like this, that they get a new manager, back the manager, sack the manager. It's almost a sense of, look, just coach the players you've got and we can stop buying 20 every summer. But, that is now 2 loans, 2 undisclosed, 2 frees, and 2 fees here. Cisse's going in there from Bastia. 2 million euros, it says... Only 22 years old as well. So it's nice to see, the days of, and Stoke were one of them, weren't they? Remember that mad window they had under Gary Rowett in 2018-19, where there's a lot more future-proofing and, young players coming in on longer contracts with resale value. So that is nice to see as a whole. And it'd be nice to see a Stoke City side not stinking it out and finishing 16th. They've started with a win. You know the rules here. Don't get carried away with Stoke. They'll let you down. But fingers crossed for those long-suffering Stoke fans that they don't let anybody down this season. That Cisse is a good addition. Derby, we already mentioned Lewis Travis. Again, look, you know what's going to happen. I'll literally finish this video, upload it. I'll check Twitter and Travis will have gone through. So let's just assume this deal is going to be done and Derby get a very... Eustace signing, extremely solid championship central midfielder who'll just immediately come in. And this is why my lot Ipswich took him on loan. Lewis Travis could go into any championship squad and just add value, to use a David Brent kind of business term there. Just super experienced. Whatever you need from him, starter, sub, working in the background with other players. He just do the job, won't he? As you can see, I'm a big fan, and I'm sure it'll add great value to Derby. Preston, nothing else has happened since we last spoke at Preston. It's been a pretty busy window there, and they got off the mark with a draw at QPR. And Hull... They're under the fee restriction embargo, but that's not going to stop Mr. Ilachali signing a load of players. Nothing stops him doing business. He loves it, doesn't he? The Hull owner. They've taken Joe Gelhardt back. He's a bit of a wonder kid, wasn't he, back in the day? Gelhardt, where was he? At Wigan, massively highly rated, and then went off to Leeds as a kind of bit of a project. Never quite worked out. He was on loan at Hull last season. He has gone back since we last spoke on loan from Leeds. So, yeah, Hull obviously can't do the deal and spend a fee at the moment, even if they wanted to. And it sounds like a lot of people want to do a deal for Charlie Hughes. That was another Wigan link. It's a Wigan to Hull move. I think they spent a fair wedge on him last summer. So I'd imagine, A, he's got a long contract, and B, that means that it's going to cost you a fair whack to get Hughes out of Hull. Although all bidding clubs do know they're under embargo, so there is that kind of tension to it as well. But I think they might have to do it, being as we've talked about money troubles at Hull. So would I be surprised to see Charlie Hughes go to a Year 1 parachute team or a Premier League team, maybe newly promoted Premier League team? No, I would not be surprised. But you're still going to have to do 7.5, 10 million. I don't know. You tell me the number in the comments, Hull fans. And finally, our League One headline makers. Dukes at Birmingham. I mean, we kind of mentioned that in the Akpom video, so you can check that out. But that has been Birmingham's solution for another striker, although Kyogo was superb, wasn't he, in the opening game against Ipswich. So Dukes looks a lot bigger and a lot more of a kind of, guy you can hit and do a bit more kind of physical labour. Like he's going to go and lay bricks in the sun. He's not. He's going to hopefully lay the foundations for a pretty high up the table finish for Birmingham, and it's been an amazing window for Blues, hasn't it? One more? Two more? You tell me, Birmingham fans. But, I mean, look, if no more deals happen, then it's been an amazing window for Birmingham. And, yeah, just looked really good, didn't they? Particularly first 30 minutes against Ipswich. I was at the game. Check that out in the archives, the vlog. Our big headline makers. Sorry, Wrexham fans, for making you wait 27 minutes for me to say, wow, the biggest internal Championship transfer this window looks like being Nathan Broadhead from Ipswich to Wrexham. And a lot of people are going to get very caught up with the transfer fee. And of course, what do all the websites do? And, newspapers, people read newspapers. What do all the media outlets do? They say, club record, £10 million. It just sounds great, doesn't it? Broadhead. Look, my understanding is that £10 million is add-ons. And let's be very frank about it. The add-on will obviously be Wrexham getting promoted to the Premier League, won't it? So they'll be able to afford that. And it's getting triggering for fans of other Championship teams. But look, the question is, can they afford to do this one? Well, surely they have super smart people managing and mapping out the PSR. And I think what other fans maybe don't necessarily understand about Wrexham and Birmingham as well is the sheer amount of money coming in from the US market in terms of sponsorship. And someone telling me, well, I heard a number for what the sleeve sponsor was for Wrexham, and if all of this is true, they can afford Nathan Broadhead. And remember as well, guys, transfer deals are all done now with PSR in mind. So from an amortization point of view, we just split it equally over the years. The contract, I don't know what Broadhead has signed. I'd imagine it'll be at least 3 years with an option, or maybe even longer. If it's even longer, there'll presumably be get-outs for Broadhead and Wrexham. But it's all about spreading that money across. And I don't know. You can spread it across 5 years, and the maximum payment out is 10 million. It's 2 million a year, and that feels a lot more manageable. So Wrexham going for it. Club record, as I say, potentially the biggest internal Championship to Championship transfer of the season. I could speak all day about Nathan Broadhead, and obviously I go away from being balanced analyst to soppy football fan here. That just been my favourite player at Ipswich in the double promotion. So very, very sad to see him leave Ipswich. I understand why he's gone, because, you know, Ipswich have essentially already replaced him with a Jack Clark or a Philogene or an Akpom or a Smodics or a whoever. But, and I know lots of people will say, oh, Ben, it's a great deal. Of course it's a great deal for Ipswich. But sometimes you just have to bank your memories and accept that if football has great meaning to you, football is here to make you happy. And Nathan Broadhead made me bloody happy as an Ipswich fan, just being the game changer player in League One and then carrying it on in the Championship for a double promotion. And he was just the guy that arrived, and God knows what his record must have been as an Ipswich player before they got to the Premier League for the first sort of 50, 60 games. He must have won 70% of them or something ridiculous like that. So, yeah, from my heart, it's a sad goodbye, and, you know, enjoy him, Wrexham. But from my head, yeah, it makes a lot of sense from financial and squad positions for both clubs. Let me know your thoughts. They're the headline transfer this week, isn't it? Charlton, quiet, but obviously they've been terribly, terribly busy throughout the window. Maybe their business is done. Are they maxed out now, Charlton, in terms of spend? We'll see in the next 17 days. There we go. Transfer update done. Please, if new transfers happen, the second I upload this, just stick them down in the comments. And yeah, you have to drop the video at some point, don't you? And as I say, I'm off for a barbecue later on. So yeah, thoughts down in the comments on players joining your club, players joining other clubs, players you'd like to join your clubs, players you'd like to leave your clubs or not leave your clubs, and what more you'd expect to and like to and hope to see done in the remaining 17 days. What does it say on my pad? I've got to plug 2 videos here. The first one is that one, which is our EFL Championship predictions for round 2. Please do still watch, even though Sam is not here this week. He's on holiday, but he did get his predictions in remotely. And down here, we will put a playlist of all of the Championship transfer videos, the update videos throughout the summer.